they've made some very landmark rulings, which have made it easier for us to work with the NLC to restore some of these public lands. Because if somebody has a title to a roundabout somewhere, surely, and they go before court and they want to claim this title, and it's a roundabout, what happened to us? Where did the rain start beating us? So we really have to collaborate. And it's for this reason, Honorable CJ, that the government is very keen on the development and deployment of the National Land Information Management System, because we want to provide one credible source of truth on land and land-related information. That's only possible if we all put our heads together and come up with it. And I'm happy to report, Honorable CJ, that this is now live in Nairobi. It's slow, as the LSK and the other professionals will tell you. The uptake is very slow, but we are making baby steps towards what I believe will be a robust land information management system. And this reform, as I said, is far from complete. It's very laborious, it's painstaking, because Honorable CJ, when we were doing Nairobi, we had to take apart about 30 million single sheets of paper. That is paper created over our almost 60 years of independence. We don't want to create more, because at this rate, where will we store all these things? Even forget about the fraud. When we continue to generate money records, and the lawyers who do conveyancing know, land generates a lot of paper records. We need to stop it and agree to go to the digital platform. And I know my partners in the professional realm usually feel very frustrated at the slow pace of this reform, but I normally ask them the question, what is the alternative? Would you not rather we suffer the pain now, and in a few years we are well established, instead of sitting with the problem and continuing to compound and making the work of the honorable judges extremely complicated, because we don't know A from B, we cannot tell. So I would say support us. It's a painful reform. It's very, very laborious, because it involves taking apart all sheets of paper. Sometimes we really have to almost sew together torn pieces of paper in order to scan them. So I want to encourage colleagues from the private sector to be patient, because there is no alternative to a proper land management system, because the alternative is chaos, which we cannot afford as a country. So as part of our efforts to deepen the reform agenda, we want to continue engaging the LSK, the Law Society, the Private Sector Alliance, other professional surveyors, lawyers. We want to spend 2022 talking to all these stakeholders about reform, and we are happy to be part of this forum because we can come and tell our story here. So we've completed working with our stakeholders, many laws, as you know, Honorable CJ, including the Communist Land Act of 2016. It's now law. I'm happy to report that we've registered about 14 or so community lands. It may look small, Honorable CJ, but you have to appreciate that this law was enacted in 2016, and we did nothing about it until 2019 when we started implementing. So it's slow, but it's sure, and we're working with our partners, the FAO, and we want to scale up this. And why is implementation of this act important? 70% of the landmass of Kenya is community land. So if you do not implement this act, it would mean 70% of our land is not documented and registered. So it's important that we work together to implement this law. The Sectional Properties Act of 2020 is now in force, and the regulations were approved by Parliament in 2020. We have just started the implementation of this particular act, Honorable CJ, and we have started with the structured properties like NSSF, places where it's easy to access, because as you can imagine, Honorable CJ, there are many properties in Nairobi that are sectional units, and most of them are not compliant with this law. We want to bring them to the proper legal framework, and we'll be calling upon stakeholders to support us in this process. The other one, which came into force in 2019, to which the chairman alluded that he's overseeing, is the Physical and Land Use Planning Act of 2019. It has critical elements relating to how we use land, and CS Tobiko will be happy with this one, because it really sets parameters on what we should do with land that is otherwise delicate ecosystems, public lands, and assets that we own collectively as Kenyans. We also enacted in 2019 the Land Value Amendment Act, and this particular law was to support the work of the National Land Commission, because it was becoming very expensive on the procedure for government.